Welcome back, Focus Learners, to another explainer. Today, we're diving into a genuinely fascinating organic transformation happening right inside your enterprise software. We're going to take the notoriously rigid, highly technical SAP MMFI integration, specifically automatic account determination, and we're going to look at it a bit differently today. Think of it as a living, automated forest ecosystem. By the end of this explainer, you're going to see exactly how data flows from the deepest, darkest roots of a procurement transaction, all the way up to the flourishing canopy of your financial ledgers. Let's get started.
So, what actually is automatic account determination? Let's dig into the soil of SAP for a second. In any organization, paying vendors for goods and services means you absolutely have to post those costs to the correct general ledger, or GL account. Automatic account determination is the behind-the-scenes system configuration that handles this entirely silently and, more importantly, perfectly. It prevents the absolute chaos of manual accounting. It guarantees that the second a goods receipt or invoice verification happens, the system already knows exactly where those financial nutrients need to go.
Here is our trail map for today. We'll start with the procurement posting problem, examine the chart of accounts framework, break down materials and valuation classes, look at movement and event keys, and finally, wrap up with automating the ledger mapping.
Section 1. The procurement posting problem. Now this is the core pain point literally every large organization faces. Think about it for a second. During a massive day of goods receipts and invoice verifications, manually typing the right account code for every single varied item is just a tedious, error-prone mess. Relying on human memory to feed the correct GL account every single time is like trying to manually water every single leaf in a massive forest. It's just not sustainable, right? And eventually, those manual mistakes will completely choke your financial reporting.
When you step back and look at the complete ecosystem map, it might honestly look like a wildly tangled root ball at first glance. But there is a brilliant order to it. Notice the exact pathways, from the material and movement types, funneling all the way down to the correct GL account right in the center. As we go through this explainer, we're going to zoom in on these individual routes to see exactly how data naturally and automatically flows to the right destination.
Moving on to Section 2, Chart of Accounts Framework. Before roots can grow, they need soil. This top-down hierarchy forms the structural foundational environment for recording accounting transactions. At the absolute highest level, you have the chart of accounts. This controls the names and numbers of the GL masters. This then drops down to the company code and finally down to the valuation area, which in SAP is typically your plant. Without this specific framework, our automatic posting routes would literally have nowhere to anchor.
So, the really crucial takeaway here is how this theoretical hierarchy gets grounded in reality. The chart of accounts is assigned directly to the company code, which is then assigned to the plant. When you look at the actual SAP interface, you can see this perfectly, like assigning the int chart of accounts to various company codes. This ensures every single transaction is securely rooted in the correct legal and physical entity of your business.
Next up, Section 3, Materials and Valuation Classes.
Let's follow that first main root pathway. Every single material in your system has to basically answer the question, what exactly am I? It flows through these distinct stages to find its classification. A specific material belongs to a material type. That type is linked to an account category reference, which finally connects it to a valuation class. It's a really elegant chain ensuring that totally different materials, say raw steel versus office supplies, pull distinct, correct financial nutrients from the system.
And this is exactly how that builds in the software. Notice how the account category reference, which happens to be 0001 for raw materials in this case, acts as the vital bridge. It connects the material type directly over to the valuation class, like Valuation Class 3000. It's a highly precise classification mechanism that makes sure the system deeply understands the exact financial nature of whatever item is being procured.
All right, Section 4, Movement and Event Keys. Well, the first route asked, what is it? This second route pathway asks, what just happened to it? When an action occurs, a movement type generates what SAP calls a value string. From that value string, the action branches out into highly specific transaction or event keys. These keys are absolutely vital, guys, because they completely differentiate the account determination based on the specific business transaction that just went down. Let's make this super concrete. For example, we absolutely must differentiate a general ledger account posted by a goods receipt, which uses the BSX key, from an invoice receipt transaction, which uses the WRX key. Even though we might be talking about the exact same material, the financial action is totally different, so it needs to flow down a completely different branch of our root system.
What's really cool is seeing those exact event keys acting on an actual document. When processing an inventory raw material item, the BSX transaction automatically hits account 300,000 on line 1. And right below it, on line 2, the WRX transaction hits the GR/IR account 400,000 too. Boom. That is the ecosystem working perfectly in real time.
But hey, sometimes a branch needs to split even further. Enter the account grouping code, or account modifier. This is a 3-character code that acts basically like a specialized trunk, distinguishing highly complex consumption scenarios specifically for event keys like GBB and PRD. You can actually trace this branching. Notice how the GBB event key branches into very specific modifiers like VBR, VBO, or BSA. You can easily verify this directly in the SAP account grouping table using the transaction code OMJJ. See how movement type 101 with the GBB event key splits into an account modifier like AUF? This brilliant little split allows the system to route costs to highly specific accounts based on exactly how that material was just consumed.
Which brings us to our final stop, Section 5, Automating the Ledger Mapping.
We've reached the canopy of our forest ecosystem where everything finally comes together. If there's one thing you remember from this explainer, make it OBYC. Think of the transaction code OBYC as the master junction box of the whole system. This is the exact configuration point where those what is it roots and the what happened to it branches finally meet the leaves, which are your general ledger accounts.
This, right here, is the absolute climax of our automation. The logic is essentially a foolproof mathematical equation baked right into the software. The movement type generates the value string, which triggers the event key. That event key, combined with any account modifier and matched with the valuation class, perfectly equals the exact right GL account.
And here is the undeniable proof inside SAP's configuration for the BSX transaction. When valuation class 0001 triggers, the rules automatically route the posting directly to account 300,000. It happens instantly, perfectly, and without a single manual keystroke from your procurement team.
So what's the big payoff? The ROI of setting up this automated ecosystem is just massive. By properly configuring your chart of accounts, valuation classes, and OBYC mappings, you're entirely eliminating manual data entry errors. You're allowing your finance teams to finally step out of the weeds and actually focus on growth. Because let's face it, when the roots handle themselves, the canopy can reach for the sky. So I'll leave you with this. If your system's roots handle all the complexity automatically, what new heights can your business reach? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and as always, keep learning.